Well, Donald Trump has scored his lowest job approval rating yet in a Reuters poll at 34%. And we have what could be another measure of Donald Trump's unpopularity and disapproval: baby names. Donald is the new Adolf. The baby name Donald has hit its lowest point in popularity in American history, according to Social Security Administration data reviewed by the website Notice, News of the United States. The federal agency received fewer than 400 Social Security card applications for baby Donalds last year, making Donald the nation's 690th most popular baby name amid Trump's return to the White House for a second term. Less than 400 babies out of 3.6 million babies born last year will have to live with the name Donald, which they might want to change after taking elementary school history classes. More people named their babies Lawrence, a name I would not wish on anyone, than Donald. More babies were actually named Princeton last year than Donald. Princeton, a name I've never heard for anything other than a town in New Jersey, and, oh yeah, a university. Adolf dropped rather dramatically in popularity after Adolf Hitler executed 6 million Jewish people in death camps while he was losing World War II before he took his own life. And we learned last night from the reporting of Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan in their new book, Regime Change, Inside the Imperial Presidency of Donald Trump, that Donald Trump happily compares himself to Adolf Hitler because a caddy for a retired professional golfer wrote an assessment of the most powerful people in history in which the caddy concluded that Donald Trump is more powerful than Adolf Hitler was, or Joseph Stalin, or any of the other mass-murdering, hateful, sociopathic dictators in history. And Donald Trump is proud of that. Donald Trump is so proud to be compared to Adolf Hitler that he actually gave that document written by the caddy to Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. From page 412 of their book, the evident pleasure Trump took in the company of Mao, Hitler, and Stalin. He drew no distinction between those who built and those who destroyed, between those who liberated and those who enslaved. What mattered was that they had had huge power and that he had more. It is all in their remarkable book, which serves as documented confirmation for what many of you have assumed is happening in the Trump White House: stupidity, impulsivity, no homework, and no one able to stand in the way to save the world from Donald Trump. With a new poll showing only 24% think Donald Trump's war with Iran was worth the costs, and just 23% think the United States is now in a stronger position with Iran compared to its position before the war. But even those people are not naming their babies Donald. At 7:20 a.m. today, Donald Trump, who has lied about his war in Iran every day of that war, posted something on social media that, just based on Donald Trump's past record alone, is probably not entirely true. And so we will approach this with the standard that Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan of the New York Times told Jon Stewart they use for statements from the Trump White House.
We assume, we've gotten to a point where we just assume false until proven otherwise. You assume what you're being told is false until proven otherwise. You don't take anyone's word for it. There's no, what is it, Reagan? Trust but verify. There's no trust.
And so, on the assumption that this is false until proven otherwise, this is what Donald Trump posted at 7:20 a.m. today. Iran has fully and completely agreed to highest level nuclear inspections long into the future. Infinity, 3 exclamation points. This will ensure nuclear honesty. If they did not agree to this, there would be no further negotiations. Based on this and other major concessions being made by Iran, I have agreed to allow the Hormuz Strait to remain open with no further naval blockade. However, all ships are remaining in place should it be necessary to reinstitute the blockade, which seems at this point highly unlikely. Secretary of State John Kerry, in the most important diplomatic achievement of the 21st century, obtained an agreement with Iran on behalf of President Obama to allow what Donald Trump would clumsily call the highest level of nuclear inspections in Iran. And when Donald Trump came into office for the first time, he said that that wasn't good enough. Inspections anywhere in Iran at any time just were not good enough. And so Donald Trump voided that agreement with Iran, policed by the United States and 5 other countries and the International Atomic Energy Agency. It wasn't good enough when John Kerry and President Obama obtained that agreement. But now Donald Trump says it's good enough. Any kind of inspections are good enough. Any promise of inspections. The trouble is, Iran says they've promised nothing, they've agreed to nothing about inspections. Iran says what Donald Trump is saying is not true. The New York Times reports Iranian officials said on Tuesday that their country did not make any such commitment. In fact, they said the matter was barely discussed. Esmail Baghi, spokesman for Iran's foreign ministry, said there was no plan to invite inspectors to nuclear sites that were hit by U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. So, not only does the Trump team not have any way of finding out where Iran's nuclear material might be, they don't even know where the nuclear inspectors are.
In terms of when the nuclear inspectors are going to start, it's funny, we were trying to call some of the inspectors last night around 2 in the morning. As you can expect, not many people were answering their phone at 2 in the morning. I expect that will happen at the minimum this week. But we think even some of those conversations with the inspectors and with the IAEA could happen as soon as today. But I haven't checked in with our team since we made that 2 a.m. phone call to some of those inspectors.
Donald Trump is scheduled to go to the Republican senators' weekly working lunch tomorrow in a private room just off the Senate floor, where reporters are never invited in. And so we won't know for sure if Donald Trump runs into the kind of resistance tomorrow that some Republican senators are promising.
I need to know why we've actually even relieved Iran of sanctions that date back to pre-JCPOA. I need to understand how this escrow account works. It's going to have roughly $10 billion coming in, where literally a U.S. refiner can legally now purchase Iranian oil, I guess if it's a lower price than some other jurisdiction. I need to understand why that's a wise strategy before the Iranians have actually signed up to some fairly stringent requirements. I think they're probably going to get $50 billion in revenue, and this is not likely to end the way the president wants it to. So giving them a lot before they actually demonstrate they're negotiating in good faith is concerning to me.
Concerned about the oil sanctions being eased right now?
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, we're back to pre-JCPOA relief on oil sanctions. And so I'm just saying, maybe the president's just got more of a trusting vibe with these folks. I think they're stringing them along.
Yesterday, Republican Senator Tim Sheehy put it another way. He said that he thinks Iran has now made Donald Trump the victim of Iran's rope-a-dope strategy.
What we're seeing now is what the rope-a-dope they usually perform, which is buy time, try to lead us along till hopefully President Trump and this team's out of office and they can re-up their campaign.
Someone on the senator's staff should remind Senator Sheehy that the World Heavyweight Championship boxer Muhammad Ali coined the phrase rope-a-dope to describe what he was doing to his opponent in the boxing ring. Muhammad Ali's opponent was the dope in the rope-a-dope. And so Republican Senator Sheehy just made Donald Trump Iran's dope.